Hey guys, welcome. We'll just give everybody a few more minutes here, and 1 or 2 minutes before we jump in. Make sure we see everybody in the session.
And as folks are coming in, if you're doubting that I'm Canadian, that is a skate sharpener right there, by the way. So if anybody needs their skate sharpened, just let me know.
You got me beat. I don't have a skate sharpener in my office or my garage.
I'm tired of driving an hour.
That's it. No, see, I get 5 minutes away. I've got about 3 different skate sharpening facilities. Okay, well, I think we're pretty good here. It looks like everybody is in so far, and we'll continue to let people in if they show up. So we'll just kick it off. So I just want to welcome everybody to the webinar. So my name is Andrew Wilder. I'm in the Technical Applications Group with SFM. And today we've got with me the one and only Ben Cook from Shure. He does reside in Canada, as he just mentioned, and he's going to walk us through today through some of the new products, including the new MX and amp and the MXP speaker line that we have, and possibly the MXW updates. So I'll pass it over to Ben and we'll let it go. If you guys have any questions, there is a Q&A section that should be open. You can drop questions in there and I'll do my best to answer them while Ben talks.
Awesome.
Right, Ben?
Thank you very much, Andrew. This is a weird one because I can't see the crowd, so I'm just kind of talking into the abyss. So if you folks don't know me, I'm Ben Cook. I handle market development for Shure here in Canada. I live in the thriving populace of Wellesley, Ontario, Canada. If you're looking for apple butter, let me know. I can hook you up. You guys can come out for the Apple Butter Festival in September. There's always a cold beverage for you here. But okay, cookb@shure.com is my email. You'll be able to get my phone number from the invite. So my job here in Canada is to help mainly end users and our integrators understand our newest products. And then I support SFM, who's our distributor here in Canada. So chances are, if you know Andrew, you know the tag team at SFM, which is the technical applications group. Absolutely fantastic group of guys. If you have technical questions, they're going to be your first line of defense. And then if you need even deeper, give me a holler and we'll work together and figure out what you need. So today, what I want to talk about, though, is something that people don't think of when they think of Shure. We have been exclusively microphones for a few years, but maybe not always the case. And we can talk about that today. So we're going to be talking about our new conferencing loudspeaker portfolio today. Back in 2020, we introduced our newest PoE ceiling powered product, the MXN5C. So that was a standard in ceiling speaker that had DSP and everything built in and targeted just at AV conferencing solutions. Its first voicing maybe wasn't great, but after the pandemic, we were able to upgrade that product and get it to sound great. But what we realized was that we had a ton of customers who wanted more from us. And for a few reasons. So I'll go through why we added these. But you need to understand that Shure does have a long history of loudspeaker technology, right? These ones here, the Voice Masters with the girl dancing over here in the corner. I actually have a pair of these downstairs with that mixer that I bought at a garage sale a few years ago because I just couldn't resist. They sound decent. Put my guitar through them. It's good stuff, right? So we know a transducer is a transducer, whether it goes in or goes out. Shure understands how to make these devices that sound the way they should. So why are we doing this now? Well, so many of our customers want a single source. So if you're getting the best in microphones, you're going to be maybe using our MXA 920. You're putting it in a room that you need some sound reinforcement in, and you want to be able to keep things all in the Shure brand and be able to order all from a single source from our friends at SFM or your local integrator. We can do that, right? Because folks are tired of having to piecemeal things together and try and figure out how to get things to work together. So this has become more and more important that we're able to take all these devices and then end to end the signal chain is ours. So we're going to do that with our ceiling microphone devices or any of our MXA devices, our array microphones. We can transport over AES 256. We can transport over Dante. We talk to our DSPs, whether or not it's our P300 or our IMX room. And then we're going to go out to our loudspeakers. And we can do all of this digitally now, which is a lot different than it used to be. We also wanted to be able to take a conference room where we're upgrading the microphones to say an MXA 920 or maybe a 902 or 901, one of our ceiling arrays. And there's already speakers in there. We want to be able to save those devices if we can. And there wasn't a ton of devices out on the market that could do that. And then we understand that, listen, if you're going to spend some money in a room and there's already speakers in there, maybe we can devote that price, that budget that we have to a higher, more premium audio solution for the microphones. And maybe the far end audio coming back into the room isn't as critical, because if we have good Shure microphones on both ends, we can make those microphones sound decent, and we can make those microphones sound great, but we can make the speakers sound decent. And of course, that also comes into resource limitations now as well. How many ports do we want to be able to take off of our network switches? Can we run things more in a small LAN so that we're not running as much on the corporate network? Can we change these things? And Shure decided, yes, we have products that we can really try and tick off a ton of these boxes. So the first one up is our MXN amp. And this is a network conferencing amplifier. So PoE plus powered. It is PoE or PoE plus. Please don't bother with PoE. If you're putting in a new application, get a PoE plus switch, spend the extra $10. Just make sure that you've got enough power, because if you are going to have an issue with your room, it's probably going to be power based from your switch if there's a problem, right? So don't look at these products, which are premium products, and then go and try and cheap out on, an $80 switch from Amazon. Let's look at our higher end Netgears and SFM. What is your number one switch company right now, Andrew?
We carry Netgear and Luxol, both of which have PoE plus switches. And then
so let's
got a question.
Netgear is my number one recommendation, so I'm safe here to stick with Netgear, right? So again, this is going to have two output options. We can either go in low Z, right, which is 8 ohm, 4 ohm, 2 ohm, however you want to run it and however it's wired. It is default to 8 ohm, but we do have a 70 volt setting as well. So if there are existing 70 volt system speakers in there, we can change that output on the amplifier to run in 70 volt. We've got 4 Dante in and 4 Dante out on the digital side, right? We've got analog in, and we've also got a logic input that's assignable between 2 presets. So if we need to set up an alarm or evac, we can do that using the logic output. It is certified for Teams and Zoom, depending on what devices you put with it. So we can talk about that for a little bit more here as well. So it does have our Shure audio encryption. If you're familiar with Shure, you will have seen that before. So what this allows is for end-to-end encryption now, from into the microphone, along the network, right to out of the loudspeaker. We know that all of our content is going to be encrypted. Fully configurable. It has all of your DSP built in, including an EQ, delay, a limiter, and a signal tone generator for setting your levels during setup. It's a half rack width, single RU height, and we do have a tray available for it for mounting. However, I think most of the time I see this device either going in a ceiling, going behind a display, something like that. We're not often going to be putting these in the rack and then running speaker wires up to the ceiling. Much easier to run the network up to the ceiling, if you ask me, and then speaker wires from there. But it is plenum rated, so we do have that option as well. I'm going to talk about Designer 6 in a little bit when I switch over to a different machine to show you how this works in our software. This was meant to be a demonstration where we didn't have the software live, but I do. So we're going to go to that in just a couple of minutes after I take you through the speakers. So we have a bunch now of passive conferencing speakers that we're launching. The MXP1 is our mini pendant, and mini really does capture it. It is very small, very compact, and these are going to be incredibly popular for open air conference rooms where we just want to hang something very quickly with a clip on the back, You know, super easy to install and no issues at all. The MXP3 is our surface mount. So again, that's this device here. Again, very small, very thin. It only sticks out from the wall about 1.5 inches. These are going to be incredibly popular, obviously, surface mount beside the displays in rooms. Our MXP5 is our passive ceiling mount. That's just this device here with the removable grill, which is magnetic and a little difficult to pull off. Our 70-volt settings are on the front of this device, which I love. So once it's in the ceiling, if you need to change your 70-volt settings, we don't need to pull it down to get to the back of the device. Super easy to install. Everything's done from the front. The Shure badge, one of my favorite dumb things that we remembered to do, you can move it, right? So if you install it and they're not all lined up properly, for folks like me who need all my badges in a row, we can line that up. We can also pull it off. It is just a pin. It's like a badge. So you can pull this off and you can put it on your lapel if you want. There's a little clip on the back. So if you want to keep it incognito, we can. And then our last is the MP6, which is the full-size pendant. So this is a much more traditional size, you know, when you consider a pendant as opposed to the mini. But they are all available in black and white, and they are all shipping very, very soon. The pendant, the 70-volt setting is on the back. So that is an option for you as well. The grill and, sorry, the Shure logo is also removable and movable on the pendants as well. So multiple form factors, right? Designed and built specifically for conferencing. So they're voiced for intelligibility. So this is called BMR technology. It's a bi-mode radiator. If you're really into speakers, you can look this technology up. I was a loudspeaker guy for a lot of years. I moved to Shure about 7 years ago from another loudspeaker manufacturer. I was really familiar with point source technology. So everything came from a single point. These devices actually work the same way. It is a full range single transducer device in the mini pendant and the wall surface here. The other devices, it's more of a standard two-way. They sound incredible. They're incredibly efficient. Dispersion on them is roughly 120 degrees conical, but it is very, at the high frequencies, it is a little more beamy, which we can't really fight. But overall, the dispersion is very good. Better than 75-degree conical, which is kind of the standard for a lot of point source devices. So the mini pendant here, again, low, very small, easy to install, and loud for what you get. SPL rating up to 99 dB out of our PoE Plus amplifier, right? If you need more than 99 or 100 dB in a conference space, you've got a problem, right? Like that is ridiculously loud. I don't really recommend these speakers if you're doing any critical listening for background music, because they are voiced for conferencing only. They are meant to be for your far end audio to come through clearly and intelligibly, and they're voiced for the human voice. They sound okay for background music, but you're not going to have any bottom end. So don't expect to put these in and expect a bunch of boom in your conference room when you decide to show a movie on, on Friday afternoon. They are designed for conferencing. So please keep that in mind. Now, when you hear these in person, though, they are going to impress you. Speakers, obviously, we can't do an online demo. It's pretty hard to do. I can play them in my office, and they're going to sound like whatever speakers you have. So, but I can show you them. These are all Teams certified when used in the correct forms, right? So when they're combined with our MXA 902 and our amplifier and our speaker, then it is Teams certified. And we have a full list of how those configurations work. The MXP3 here, surface mount, I can see this one again is going to be incredibly popular. It's very sleek, very good looking. The mount on the back here, there's a wall flush mount that comes in the package that is literally 2 screws into the wall, and this pops on it. Super easy to install. will fit over a single gang box to cover it. It's not intended for that. It just happens to fit perfectly. And again, these are all configured so that when you use our amplifier, you just select which one of these speakers you're using on that channel, and the DSP internal on the amplifier will switch to know which device it's using. So for devices, for rooms here like Microsoft Front Row, now we have the ability to use an MXA 901, a single device like this. We can use our IntelliMix room with our stereo AEC now included in IntelliMix room. And put the MXN amp in stereo mode and run left and right out of the device so that we can have that front row. This was incredibly important to Microsoft. They want to have that directionality so that if someone on the left side of the panel is speaking, the audio comes out of the left side. And you need to have stereo to do that. So we are happy that we're able to provide that with this product. Our MXP5 ceiling mount passive loudspeaker, again, this is very similar to our MXN5C without amplification and DSP. So this is it is a passive device. We're also going to get up to about the 98 decibel level with these devices as well. We do get a little bit wider dispersion on the pendant and the ceiling device just because the drivers are just a little bit bigger. As I mentioned, we do have the tap on the front for 70 volt, and it's perfect for dropping into any installation. We do have tile bridges available like any other loudspeaker that goes into the ceiling, or a new construction bracket, which is basically just a piece of sheet steel with a hole in the middle, but it sounds nice. The pendant passive loudspeaker here, again, there's not a whole lot to talk about because it is the same driver that's in the passive ceiling speaker. We've just put it in the pendant. We've got the tap on the back for your 70 volt, and it's got all the same options that we've got in the other 3 speakers. So that's the simplest part of today. If anybody has any questions they want to pop into the chat, we can. I'm going to share something over here on the other side though. So what I've got here now, I'm talking to you through Zoom, but I'm using my Shure Designer software that I downloaded from the Shure website, and I'm using an MXA 920 ceiling microphone. Now, that is a standard product that you can download from our website and route any of our Shure products through. The newest products that we have are on beta firmware that'll be shipping as these amps and speakers ship. So in the next couple of weeks, this will be upgraded on the website and we can get this full version. So I'll share this here now. I have learned over the years to not use beta software on a webinar. So I'm going to let you look at it, but we're not going to actually run any audio through it because I don't want this to blow up in my face. But what I've done is put my MX amp on my network. I've made a little LAN here in my office with a 4-port switch that is connected to the MXN amp, as well as our new MXW range of microphones. So you can see here in the middle, I've got my APX. So I've got my access point for my wireless microphones. The output from that is connected into my MXN amp. So each of my outputs here I've already labeled. And if we were live in this room, I'd be able to just pick up one of these handhelds, and I've routed the audio through Shure's Designer software only, right out to these 4 microphones are coming in, and I've got them unfiltered, just going right out the outputs via Dante, right into that amplifier. So I can essentially use it as a PA system. This can be set up in 2 minutes because all of our connections are done in Designer now. We don't need to use Dante Controller for anything. This can all be done online in seconds. Now you'll notice here that I don't have any outputs because these would be going to passive speakers. So once we get to the amp, there is no further network devices, right? These are all passive speakers. So on these output channels, we would be able to see if there was a fault once they're hooked up. I don't actually have them connected for this meeting because you can't hear them. But you can see here everything that's in here. So in the matrix mixer, I can decide where I'm taking my inputs and outputs. This is all customizable, and this is all in the amplifier itself. So if I wanted, let's say I was doing an MXA room with two 902s, and I wanted to do a divisible room, and I needed some additional support. I could then use my amp here and route the Dante signal from one room to a couple of passive loudspeakers, and the Dante route from another room to the other passive loudspeakers. So it gives us the ability to divide rooms and make all these changes quickly and on the fly. Andrew, questions so far? What have I missed?
Yeah, so I'd say one of the most pertinent questions we have right now is, can you use low Z and 70 volt at the same time?
You cannot. It switches the entire unit over, so it is one or the other. Yeah, so not sure how often we would need that. But I guess if you were saving a couple speakers in one side of a room, it could certainly happen, right? Where, yeah, maybe they just don't have an 8 ohm setting, so we need to use 70 volt. Yeah, unfortunately, it is a one or the other.
Right. Yeah, there's been a couple of questions around PoE++, and just so everybody knows, no, the amp does not require PoE++. It is a standard PoE amplifier. However, if you give it PoE+, there's just a little bit more power to drive those speakers.
Okay, I'll open up the amplifier here and we can take a look at the settings that we've got in here. You'll notice all of the settings are going to be consistent now across every device in Shure Designer. So when you pull on the device here, the first thing you're going to see is the schematic. And then we have the choice of how we want to view it and what we want to view on that device. So we can look at the inputs, the auto mixer, the channel, like basically everything on this device. I generally just leave it on schematic because I can visualize where everything's going. Inputs here, we can see here, I've got each channel of our new MXW4. This is the MXW Next 4. This is our brand new upgrade to the MXW family. So I'm going to switch my camera here, and I will be able to show you kind of how this is set up. If I can remember how to change camera in Zoom. All right. So we've got the MXW Next 4 gooseneck charger here. So this is a 4-channel charger. You can put 4 gooseneck mics in at a time. And then the other device I have over there is the MXW 4 handheld and body pack and boundary charger. So that'll take 4 channels there as well. And then this is the access point. So what's a little bit different about this access point, you'll notice here I have a USB cable connected to it. So this access point, we can connect. I'm going to switch back because I'm making myself crazy with this camera. So we can now connect pro level audio, wireless audio with a USB output for 2 channels on our MXW Next 2, 4 channels on MXW4, or 8 channels on MXW8. So we have a whole bunch of options along the way with MXW now. Being able to put this in Designer and having a USB output, I really think changes the game. And having a built-in DSP on our access point means that if you're doing a room where you're only using MXW Next in that room, so you only need 2, 4, or 8 channels, or you could use up to, I think you can use up to 24 channels in most applications. We'd have to do a spectrum scan to figure out how many open channels we can get in there. But we can leave it all in our own environment. It's all covered by Shure. And because we have the USB output now, we can just plug in any PC and have access to all of these devices. The access point still has analog output if you wanted to take that out to a room system, another codec. However, other input you're using. We have that analog output, and then we still do have the Dante and AES outputs as well. And again, being able to combine them all in Designer now really kind of adds some functionality that we didn't have before. So I'll show you here, there's the 4 inputs on my APX. That's obviously the access point for these wireless systems. I'll show you here on the device itself. No, I'll go to the inputs here because I wanted to show you the devices that are connected. So I've got a handheld, a body pack, another handheld, and a gooseneck. The gooseneck is on one charger, and then the 3 handhelds are on the other. And when you go in here, you'll see this is an incredibly inefficient way to get 4 channels of audio, right? If I had this 4-channel charger here, this one here, and let's say I wanted to do 4 handhelds most of the time, but every once in a while I need a gooseneck, or if I had the gooseneck charger, this is more apt to happen, I think. If I had 4 goosenecks, but every once in a while I want to be able to add a handheld. All of these new devices are USB-C on the bottom, and you can connect to the charger with just a USB-C cable from the channel that you want to use, and then pair that device, and it will now take that channel. So for example, here, I'm going to take this gooseneck off. If I plug this in here now, and then plug it to that 4th channel on my charger, then I'm going to sync these devices, and that will add this now to this channel. So you'll see my Designer changed. So now I'm not pulling anything off of this charger. I've got 4 devices on here, and I hit link on the device, and we're going to link those channels. So now I just need to take channel 4 from the other access point. I'm trying to do it on the wrong computer. I'm going to remove this channel, and now just take channel 4. And that would be it. Now that charger is fully, that device is ready to go. I've got 4 channels ready to go that are all linked, and I wouldn't need this charging base anymore. So it gives a flexibility that we really haven't had before to do these devices with DSP built in. And then we can take that signal and put it into our amplifiers for our loudspeakers as well. So it gives us control from end to end. We're all in the Shure network. We're all Shure encrypted. We're all plenum rated. We're all Teams certified. We're all Zoom certified. So yeah, I think we've pretty much got everything covered.
One question for you,
so that we
Ben.
can have that end-to-end connectivity. Yes, Andrew.
Yeah, so being asked there, the USB on the APX 4 and 8, are those 3.0 or 2.0?
It's the newest 3.0.
It is, okay. I
but
thought
it
so,
is-
but I wasn't sure.
It is backwards compatible.
Yep.
Down to 2. So
Yeah, so guys, you're thinking of an application there, you know, it is the antenna, right? The APX is receiving signals, so don't put it face down under the table. We've definitely seen some concepts here with the 4 and 8 channel APX on the side of a lectern and smaller classrooms, so that they got the USB and everything is just right there as you need it, as opposed to having to run a cable from the ceiling. So let's see, I don't think we have any other questions currently. So hopefully if there's more questions, drop them into that Q&A and we'll be able to answer those live for you. That's great seeing that MXW, Ben. And we've got a
Yeah, and
look at the
it's-
speakers. Yeah.
So here, I'll share, I'm going to show you this here as well. I'm just going to pull up the webpage here to take you guys through it,
Perfect.
because I don't want you to kind of miss. This, I think, really changes the game. This really shows the 4 channel there that I had. I thought there was a better picture of the 8 channel. But regardless, we don't really need that. I need you to understand, though, that basically we've taken MXW and increased the battery life now. The handheld on the battery the battery on the handheld is 27 hours, which is insane to me. The body packs and the goosenecks, I believe, are 17 hours. Now that's Shure being Shure. We're always very conservative when we talk about our battery life. So I know those numbers are going to be even higher. So we've added the DSP. We've added that LCD display that we never had before on the handhelds, on all of the devices, that shows your signal strength, your battery life, all of the channel names. Everything is now on the device as well as in the software. So this is also a huge improvement to let you know battery life and how things are going for your meetings. I think if there isn't any questions, I'm going to spend a couple minutes talking about one last thing here that I kind of feel dirty doing on Zoom, but it's okay. Shure is right in the middle now of launching our IntelliMix room kits, which if you haven't heard of yet, this is our MXA 902 ceiling microphone that covers a up to 30 by 30 area that has a loudspeaker built in. So we've taken that MXA 902 and we've combined it with a Shure compute device. So that's this device here. This is basically a Shure Windows 11 IoT device that has Teams rooms pre-installed on the device. My dog is sneezing under my table, excuse me. That has Teams installed on it with the Hudley cam. So depending on the kit you purchase, there's a 30, which is for small to medium rooms, a 50, a 70, or an 80. It depends on what you're going to get. So it's all around the MXA 902. So the 30 kit, you're going to get the 902, your Windows certified Teams display and compute, and then a Hudley IQ cam. The kit 50, you're going to get the same devices, but the camera upgrades to a single larger Hudley cam. When you go up to the 70, now we've got the same larger Hudley cam. I'm going to kick my dog out of here. And sorry, and two MXA 902s. So now anyone who knows about an MXA 902 is throwing their hands up in the air saying, you've told us for the last year and a half that we're not to use two MXA 902s in a room. And that is true, unless you have external DSP, right? The problem with the 902 is we always said only use one in a room because it can only use its AEC, its acoustic echo canceling reference, is its own loudspeaker. But when we're now that we're going to combine this with the external DSP that is in our compute device, we've set it up with the correct DSP settings so that it's got the right echo canceling reference. So we don't need to worry about that. And you can use more than two actually. And we can discuss that in a separate environment, but that is an option. And then the last kit is going to the crew camera from Hudley. Instead of a single cam, now we have 3 cameras. So when you order these devices, when you order these kits, you're going to get a box with an MXA 902 in it from our friends at SFM. And then you're going to get a box with the camera, or sorry, with the compute and the touchscreen in it, and all the cables that you would ever need for any of these. Right? So it's only one kit. So it's basically our foundation kit has the compute and the touch panel in it and a whole bunch of cables. You may not use them all. If you get the kit 30, obviously you're going to have some extra network cables that you're not going to need. But if you use the kit 80, you're going to have everything that you need. So it's going to ship basically in 3 boxes. One will be the 902. One will be the compute and display together, and then one will be a Hudley box with the camera. If there's more microphones, more 902s, then that would be an additional device. Now, why is this so important for us here at Shure? This is the first time that Microsoft has allowed an audio company to make a Teams room. Okay. They've allowed computer companies to make Teams rooms. You know, Lenovo makes a team room, and IBM does, and a whole bunch of folks, Crestron, they all make these Teams rooms. We're the first audio company to do it. No one does audio like Shure. No one makes a microphone like we do. And as we kind of go down this road of Microsoft, intelligibility is the key. So Copilot, anything we do in Microsoft meetings that they're using the transcription, we need to make sure that we're intelligible and understood so that we know that that data for Copilot is accurate, right? So that's the real push from Microsoft with us. This was like a partnership. This wasn't us going to them or them coming to us and buying technology. This is a partnership. It's our first kind of dip into it. There's more coming with us with Microsoft. But for now, this is a huge leap forward for us. And I'm really looking forward to folks getting to try these and use these out in the field. Basically, you take your MXA. I'll start with the easiest kit here, the 30. So if you were doing a small room with this device, you would, it's going to do up to a 30 by 30 room, is what Microsoft recommends. You're going to get a network switch in the box with this. You connect the 902 and the compute with your Ethernet cables. Get everything fired up, turn your network switch on, and then turn that PC on, and it will auto configure your room. It goes through and makes all your Dante connections, makes all your Shure Designer connections, sets all your DSP levels. You're ready to make a call once you've let that auto run go, and away you go. If you make a mistake and power up the compute while it's not connected to the network, it's going to tell you no microphones are found and you'll have to rerun it. Not the end of the world, but it is nice when you just plug it in and it does it all on its own. So, but yeah, this is a big step for us. Any questions on the IMX room kits? There's gotta be.
Yeah, there's a few. I'm kind of as we go. So, no, the foundation kit will not be sold separately at this time. Okay.
Not yet.
It will be a kit as we go.
And that is the first question, right?
Yes.
Because immediately, and then for me too, I'm like, I know 20 customers that would love this. They've already got a 920 in the room. They'd love it. We just can't do it yet. And that's not because of us. This is just because, as I said, we're dipping our toe in the Microsoft water, and they would not like us to sell it yet, because they're concerned that if we take a Teams device and use other peripherals that are not certified, it won't meet their requirements, right? And this is a Microsoft Teams Rooms device, not just Teams. So you can't purchase this and just put a Teams license on it. It is a Teams Room preloaded license.
Yep. I also responded and said everybody that there are 2 HDMI outputs on the unit itself. So it supports 2 displays. It does not support BYOD conferencing. It does have a content ingest.
Right. So USB-C input for content sharing.
Yep.
But remember, this is a Teams room. So it's not a bring your own device room. It's already running Teams. You need a Teams license to run it, right? A Teams Rooms license. I keep forgetting to say rooms. I'm going to get myself in trouble. Teams Rooms license. So yeah, it is a little bit of a different animal. This isn't just Teams that you can go download anywhere. This is the preloaded Microsoft Teams rooms.
Yeah. So the question I'll have you answer live, and I haven't responded to yet, is, and I think I know the answer as well. The 80 kit with the Hudley crew, the tracking is all done by the crew, correct? Or does it take into account anything from the 902s?
There is no audio information in the Hudley cams. It is all AI through their visual software. There are other options that you can talk about with our friends at SFM for more accurate camera tracking from other manufacturers that work with Shure devices.
Yeah. And do you know if there's any audio calibration done in the setup, or is that all going to be done by your technician on site?
It doesn't do any kind of live pinging of the room or any reverb. No, that is all. There's a lot of default settings on the MXA 902 that it knows it's going to need. So it's not custom tuned to each room. You still, if it's a problem, if it's a really bad room, you're still going to want a technician who can go in there and take care of tuning it. And the folks at TAG are the best in Canada to do that. So
yeah. So in general, guys, as we always say, Ben and I both say this, is the room will be 90% there. If you take it out of the box, set it up and run it, it will work. But you need to go in and listen to the room and finalize that audio and make sure that you're doing what you can for the acoustics of that room. And I think we've answered all the other questions. As like I said, one of the other questions that I answered, I was very happy to see is the cable connection back to that 11-inch touch display for the controller can be up to 160 feet. And I know that's a big number because I've been told by many integrators that a lot of them won't go past 40 feet with other brands. So that 160 feet is quite nice.
Yeah, and it's a standard category connection, right? Like we can go a long ways with it.
And then something I want to ask you, Ben, about all of these new products. Is there any way I can monitor these?
Yeah. So as we develop all these products, Shure Cloud is going to be becoming more and more important. If you haven't looked it up yet, please take a look. I'm not as comfortable right now as I should be with Shure Cloud because I focus a lot of my efforts on the conferencing and commercial side of our business. So Shure Cloud is obviously a cloud system that we're implementing. It is online now with very limited functionality. But as we develop and release more and more of our products, if you haven't heard of ADPSM yet, you will. It's our digital in-ears for monitoring. We've got some new products coming out that you're going to be able to purchase licenses for depending on how many channels you need, how many you want. IMX Room, our DSP functionality, our downloadable software DSP, that's going to be tied to the cloud. It's just going to become more and more of an integral part of our day-to-day business to authorize and deauthorize licenses and look and monitor what devices are on your network, either campus-wide or corporate-wide, right? So you'll be able to check and see if anything's got an error warning, any faults, if you're having frequency issues. All of these things are going to be monitored via our Shure Cloud, and our system API is another option for control more on our conferencing products. But I know I'm kind of bouncing all over the place. But the Shure Cloud, I think, I don't want to hint too much about what's coming with Shure down the road. I don't want to get myself in NDA trouble. But the world is changing in as far as frequency goes, and how we can open things up and what we can do. And licensing is going to become more and more important because you may not need as many channels as you thought physically. We may be able to move things around. So yeah, check out Shure Cloud and get yourself kind of familiar with it, particularly if you're doing wireless. And if you do have campus-wide or corporate network-wide monitoring necessities, our Shure Cloud is going to be able to do that for you.
And I did ask around, and it will be REST APIs, so you'd be able to ping that from a single pane of glass if that's what you're doing in your facility. Yeah. I think we've answered all the questions online as well. So, folks, if there's any other questions, folks, please drop them into the chat. We'll give you another minute or two to drop those in here before we take off. But we really appreciate your time coming out and joining.
And if anybody wants me to poke around in the software and take a look at anything too, that's also an option. I didn't want to go with death by PowerPoint today. I was hoping for some more questions and answers. So and listen, folks, if you have anything on other Shure gear as well, the 920, if there's any other questions you have on those, the 902, the 901, the 920, just drop them in the chat and Andrew and I can take care of those as well.
Absolutely. And it will be nice to see everything into that Designer 6 into one application coming forward. So that'll be really handy for you to build out your rooms and manage your programs.
Well, and like I love it just because I don't want to have to learn 5 different variants of software to get the job done. I just want one, right? Folks, if you haven't seen the new 920 upgrade to the 6.2 firmware, that's another thing that you really should take a look at. If you have 920s in your building or your clients do, get them up to the newest 6.2. We added a bunch of things like deverb to take the size out of the room, basically, take that reverb out. We've got virtual acoustic boundary now, which is stunning. So in the past, when you set up your 920, you told it, listen to this area. And let's say maybe it was 20 by 10. And we would just tell it, listen to that area and don't listen outside of that area. Well, if someone's kind of near the edge of that zone, their voice is going to bleed through. There's really no way for us to prevent that, right? The way it was. But what we did is, through testing in the last couple of years, we figured out that if you put a zone somewhere and then muted it and told the 920, don't listen there, it actively kind of canceled it out. And we didn't know that it was going to do that on purpose, right? So what we did, though, is upgraded the firmware. So now there's actually 2 lobes that can be deployed behind the scenes. So you'll have your coverage, and then it'll hear that voice outside the coverage zone and send a lobe to it to pick it up and then kill it. So whereas before it used to ignore it or try its best to ignore it, now it listens to it and steps on it, which is a different way to clean up that room. So it's called virtual acoustic boundary. So literally, if you have your 920 installed and it's already set up and you've got your area set that you want it to cover, you can just click that turn on virtual acoustic boundary and it will remove anything from the edges or anything coming in. My room here is 12 by 12 and I can put a Bluetooth speaker on my bookshelf behind me and get it to kill it and just completely remove it from the call while I'm talking. That's how kind of like the amount of horsepower in it is ridiculous. And easy to use, easy to set up. We also added on our MXA 920s, when we went to that 6.2, is auto functions on our noise reduction and our AEC. So if you did have a room where you weren't sure if you should have it on low or medium, and you found that your voice sometimes would break up because the DSP couldn't figure out what is your voice and what is noise for like a couple seconds, the auto will auto maintain that all the time instead of just holding at medium. So it really does clean up the audio as well. Andrew, you've used it, right? The virtual acoustic boundary. Yeah.
Yeah, the boundary is quite neat. When I was doing some trainings, I got asked about it. So I had it around a U-shaped table that was 12 deep by 12 wide. And I literally only put it around the seats of the U-shaped table. And I could walk up the center and stand below the microphone and not be heard out of the speaker in the room where I was reproducing it as voice lift. It just didn't pick me up until I kind of walked to the table and my head broke that plane. So
yeah,
works good. I mean, if you cover the whole space, there's no need for acoustic boundary, but if you actually utilize it around the table,
yep,
it can become really, really handy.
Yeah, I like it for doorways. Particularly you got the French doors that open out to the cubicle farm. Put on the virtual acoustic boundary, right? And they can be out there chirping and you're not going to hear it in the conference room. It's pretty incredible.
Yeah.
So
yeah, absolutely. That's all the questions we've got so far. What I will say, Rez, we want to thank Ben Cook for his time coming out and joining us and give us some insight on the products and showing us off some of those products that he actually has at his desk. If you have questions, whether they be technical or sales related, pricing related, just reach out to support@sfm.ca. Our team will get you in touch with the correct sales representative. You can always email Ben Cook. As he said, it's cook_ben@shure.com. Is that correct?
cookb@shure.com.
Cook B.
We got rid of the underscores, thankfully.
Gotcha. I was trying to remember. I was remembering the old one. So yeah, reach out to either of us and we'll be certain to get some answers to you. If you're looking for demos of the equipment, we are starting to get some of that in at SFM. So we're putting together those demo kits to get out there so you can hear those speakers. So please do reach out and we would absolutely be willing to work with you. I just got one last question came in. Are the acoustic boundary features available on the 901, 902 as well?
No, they just do not have the horsepower to run it. It's unfortunate, but yeah, it's too intensive. Only for our premium 920.
Excellent. It's a quick, easy answer.
Yeah.
All right, everybody. Well, we appreciate your time, and looks like we're done a few minutes early, so hopefully you can get back to the rest of your day and keeping up with those clients. And we've got some new designs in your systems for you.
Got 10 minutes to go quickly shovel the driveway. Maybe clean up the
Done.
sidewalk.
I'm done shoveling.
I think me too.
Yeah. Thanks a lot, everybody. You have a great rest of your day, and we hope to hear from you sometime soon.
All right. Thanks, everybody.